So I interviewed Ron Brumbarger, who is obviously the president of Apprentice University and the founder, and I interviewed him for the Hopeful Hoosier podcast. And when I was creating that podcast, I thought, wow, this is really exciting. And the more I thought about it and the more I talked to him, the more excited I got. I came out and was a guest at a career day seminar, met the other faculty members and students, and thought, wow, this is really something different and good and needed. And so when the opportunity presented itself, where the other instructor who I knew needed to be able to transition back to his full-time work, I was thrilled to do it. The reason is the level of student in this apprentice university is very different from what you would expect from a traditional four-year college student. And there's nothing wrong with four-year college students, but my experience in working with several of the students directly is they're very career-oriented, they're very achievement-oriented, and I love the fact that they want desperately to master things. It's not just enough to know it. They want to be able to do it and be able to demonstrate that they can do it. And to come away from this kind of experience, A, debt-free, and B, with a portfolio of both completed projects that are real-world projects and solidified relationships with people in the business world, and you have a network, what more could somebody want in today's highly competitive job market?
Thanks so much, Andy. Nancy, you want to go ahead and jump in on those questions?
So my oldest son started Apprentice University when he was a senior in high school. And it was the first year that they offered the classes like they do right now. And my husband and I, several times over the course of that year, would go and visit and just sit in on the classes. And we were so impressed by not only the instruction that we were seeing in the classrooms, but by the change in our son and his desire to succeed and his motivation just grew exponentially after being involved with these classes at Apprentice University. And so because of that, I believe wholeheartedly in the mission of Apprentice University and how they go about doing the classes. And it's not just instruction, but it's hands-on, it's learning. But it's also expecting students to figure out some things for themselves. Sometimes you may not know how to do something, and instead of just waiting around for someone to tell you how to do it, these students will go and they'll figure it out for themselves. And that's great to see. You know, one of my favorite aspects is the students. Like Andy said, it's such a high caliber of students who want to be there, who want to succeed, who do their best to do the best that they can. And it's really encouraging as an instructor to have them come back later on. And I've had numerous students from all different levels of areas of interest. Students who are interested in drama and students who are interested in business and others who are interested in nonprofit from all different aspects. And they come back in and they say, I was sitting in my apprenticeship. I had to go to a meeting the other day, and I've been going to these meetings for the past 2 months, and I was sitting in there and I suddenly understood what they were talking about. It all made sense because I've been in this class. And just watching that it's so exciting.
Excellent. Cindy.
These are great questions, and I just echo what both Andy and Nancy had to say. There's something about being in a role as a teacher, and you really aren't a teacher if you have a passion for educating and expanding the minds of others and encouraging them to go down that road of discovery. And that's what I love to do. I'm walking the road with every single one of my students. But AU is so unique in that it really is about this layered experience of growth And what I truly appreciate about AU is that growth can look different for every single student, and you have the opportunity to capitalize on that on an individual basis. You know, traditional education is often so driven toward metrics. And I say that as an individual who just finished her master's in education. There were times when I saw those traditional methods and the taxonomies that I was asked to reference, and I would just shake my head and say, this is so broken. You need to see what we're doing at AU. And I know that what we're doing at AU works. As part of my master's degree, we prototyped and executed one of those teaching models that I use among my students. And the progress was there, the benefit was there, far beyond my expectations, far beyond the expectations of my instructor as well. But that is the passion for me behind my presence at AU, is just helping everybody open their eyes, apply those skills wherever they are, whenever they are, and however most benefits them. And the outcome is just a feather in the cap of someone like me. I'm glad to be there.
Sorry, Cindy, stay on here and we'll go with you. And I think, because you just started touching on this one as well, is what do you think are the elements of a good education, and what do you see as the major challenges of higher ed currently, and how do you feel that Apprentice University is addressing those challenges?
That is a really great question. When I started my pursuit of my master's degree, I was a little hesitant because I knew I would be running into some of those more traditional methodologies. And that's what all of higher ed is oriented around. It's these hard and fast objectives that require an element of measurement that constricts and compresses learning. AU is much more broad in those learning experiences, to the point that using the rubrics that we use and using broader defined objectives as far as mastery, it allows for a very creative, innovative, and personalized learning experience. And I think that's the key. Higher ed is embracing that idea in some places, but the whole idea of using a rubric and proficiency models like AU embraces and mastery still really lost on them. It really makes some of those educators quake. And that is one of the reasons I am at AU. That's what makes us very, very different. As far as a great learning experience, anytime a instructor or facilitator or teacher, or whatever term you want to assign to the individual working with at the time, because in a classroom experience like AU, sometimes I am a teacher. It's, you know, one-on-one, here's the information you need to know. Sometimes I'm an instructor truly guiding, and then other times I am just a facilitator. Because once a student is able to grab on to a concept and fly with it, the job of that person leading a classroom at AU changes, and we just keep making certain you're going in the right direction. But I find that that model produces much, much better results that can be applied in a real world situation. And that's where higher ed is missing it. There's still so much focus on the classroom that we miss that application outside those four walls in a way that makes sense and makes a difference.